They said when they took her body to the medical examiner's office, it was in perfect condition.
Anna's grandmother told ABC that she sat with the 16-year-old as he was questioned by the FBI and was shocked by what she heard.
I heard him, in his own words, say he does not remember what happened.
Perfect condition. Well, except that she was dead, and she was dead because she'd been murdered. We also know she had bruises around her neck. I'd hardly say that is perfect condition. And besides all that, why was she naked? How did she get naked? Where were her clothes, and whose DNA and perhaps clothing fibers are on her clothes?
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Now, in terms of the number 2 clue we all missed, we now know why Anna left the dinner table early, because her braces were hurting her. Look at this insert from People magazine. The night before she was found dead, Barbara told ABC News that the teen complained that her dental braces were bothering her at dinner. She returned to her room for a bit, but later rejoined the family at the casino. Now, this makes complete sense why she would say she wasn't feeling well, and then she would emerge later, apparently none the worse for wear, right? Do you believe that is true? I do. Firstly, because her braces bothered her at dinner. That is when this apparently came up, and that is very likely where that would happen. Secondly, because I wore braces like hers in high school, I know they can ruin a perfectly good dinner, a perfectly good anything, especially if those elastics snap or if one of the metal railway tracks break. That happened to me a few times too. So I guess the question is why her family described it initially as Anna wasn't feeling well. Why the cloak and dagger? Why not simply say her braces were bothering her? Now, as many of you know by now, a death certificate has been issued. It's one of the few official documents that are publicly available since the cheerleader's troubling murder on a cruise ship almost 3 weeks ago. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Welcome to the many of you who have subscribed. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please do hit the thanks button. By the way, if you're someone who's been following the Ramsey case, peripheral figures, look out for the next episode dealing with Professor Donald Foster and his analysis of the ransom note that's coming soon. So look out for that. And let's get started.
There are no witnesses, at least as of now. And really all they have is going to be either forensic evidence. It's either going to be the technical forensic evidence or it's going to be the physical forensic evidence, such as DNA and other maybe bodily fluids or other types of evidence in that.
There are no witnesses. I don't think that's true. Even if it is, the onboard CCTV would negate even the need for witnesses, because the CCTV is going to show you everyone's movements as if you or I were actually there. So you don't even need witnesses. But I suspect there will be witnesses. I mean, this is a cruise ship, not just someone's house. And Anna was moving around a casino shortly before she died. What interactions did she have with people? If she was served by someone, what did that person serve her, and what did she say, and how did she seem? What about her neighbors in terms of the cabin next door? What did they observe? What did they hear? And how about family members? They could be witnesses too. For me, the way Anna's body was found and when it was found just doesn't add up. It makes more sense that the folks in the room or their relatives would have found her, should have found her, if they searched for her. Did they not search for her? Did they not try searching for her? That's unless one person helped another hide Anna. You wouldn't be searching for her if you knew where she was and you'd actually hidden her away. There's also something else that's really odd here. Anna didn't just share the room with one boy, but 2 boys. So what is the story about the other brother in all this? Look at this insert from People magazine. According to Barbara, investigators told the family that security footage showed that the boy was the only person seen going in and out of the room he shared with Anna, and that he was an emotional mess after her death. But how can he be the only boy seen coming and going if the other boy was also supposed to sleep in the same room? What is going on there? And that brings us back to the death certificate. It refers to Anna's biological father as an informant, and he may well turn out to be. I mean, in a court setting, if there is a court setting. But more pertinently, look at the date of death on the document, and we want to really put a circle around it. November 7, 2025. According to Wesh, Anna died late on Friday morning, almost at noon. Anna Kepner died at 11:17 a.m., according to the Miami-Dade medical examiner. She was on board the Carnival Horizon cruise ship with her father, stepmother, grandparents, and siblings. But that can't be right. Weren't you also under the impression that she died the night before, right, on November 6th? Because that was what was reported early on. Look at this from the BBC. A death certificate provided to ABC News by her family states that Ms. Kepner died of mechanical asphyxia with a date of injury listed as 6 November. So it does make you wonder, was she injured the night before and then died subsequent to that? It was also reported that Anna was last seen alive by her family on November 6th. So a question I have is, when did they raise the alarm? Surely November 7 at 11:17 a.m., if that is the time, wasn't that the time that her body was found, not the time that she died? Even if it is the time that she was found, that's incredibly late. That's almost John Benet Ramsey late and Meredith Kercher late. Well, I guess not quite. John Benet was found at about 1:05 p.m. on the day after Christmas. Meredith Kercher was found dead in her room at 1:15 p.m. I also don't know whether one can make the inference that the death certificate is referring to the date as the day her body was discovered, or if the autopsy has determined the time of death to be definitely and definitively on November 7th. If that's the case, it suggests that she was murdered likely very late at night or very early in the morning. Or does it suggest she was murdered later, perhaps when she got up to take a shower? The issue we have to integrate into this scenario is alcohol intoxication. If the suspect was drunk, we can imagine the murder happened at night while the effects of that intoxication were at their worst. Does that make sense? And this makes it seem less likely she was murdered later in the morning, intuitively I mean, unless of course her murderer had a raging headache, was irritable, and perhaps still trying to shake off the effects from being inebriated. A broader question, and one discussed quite intelligently on Newsweek, is this. What happens when a minor becomes a suspect in a family murder? Have a look at this. Family court filings reveal FBI focus on minor. Court filings connected to the custody case indicate that Anna's 16-year-old stepbrother is the subject of the FBI investigation into her death. I dare say if it wasn't for the family court filings, we would be none the wiser regarding the minor as a possible suspect. Do you agree with that? Now, according to Newsweek, in a motion filed November 20th, Chantel Hudson's attorney wrote that the FBI is conducting an inquiry arising out of the suspected murder of the respondent's mother's stepdaughter, and that the minor child is currently the subject of the active FBI criminal investigation. The motion seeks a non-dissemination order preventing either party from publicly discussing the case. It argues that disclosure of information may jeopardize the integrity of this ongoing investigation and may expose minor child TH and the other grieving family members to significant and possible irreversible harm. So what does that mean for the true crime community? Well, I think this case is likely to remain hush-hush, even if it goes to trial, which I'm starting to think it won't. The filing also requests that future filings referencing the minor be submitted under seal and that sensitive information be redacted from public records. As investigators await full autopsy and toxicology results, family court proceedings have increasingly intersected with the criminal inquiry. The FBI continues to review surveillance footage, keycard data, and electronic devices, according to statements shared with media outlets. And get this, because a juvenile may be involved, any future charging decisions could remain confidential under federal law. So even if this kid has been charged, if it's already happened, we wouldn't know about it. We may not know about it. So you see, there's a very strong possibility here that the legal process will take place behind closed doors is taking place behind closed doors, and whatever the outcome, even if a minor was involved, we are likely to be none the wiser. We are likely to be kept in the dark. Of course, if an adult was an accessory, then I'm not sure whether they would enjoy the same protections. And if that's the case, well, you might have a situation where the accessories' actions are legally known and disclosed, but there might be sort of a blank area that is protected, that would be a sort of Bermuda Triangle of just unknown information, unknown to us because it's so legally sensitive. So if there is a third party, you may have a situation of an accessory but not a murderer, not officially, and only through inference would we know anything, if at all. It's also possible if a minor was involved, the law will make certain exceptions and mitigations, and if the minor was intoxicated, well, then I'm not sure the minor can be held fully responsible for his actions either. Then responsibility flows over to that minor's legal guardian, and we might see a charge like child you-know-what resulting in death. But that's not all. There's also the issue that the minor might have some sort of mental or psychological problem which could also play into mitigation. Look at this excerpt from People. The teen who has not yet been named was hospitalized for psychiatric observation. Now one wonders whether the psychiatric observation found anything out. Was it just someone who's emotional? Was there some kind of intoxication? What was the result of this hospitalization? But in terms of the rest, this idea of an accessory, but then an unnamed third party, what do you think? Does any of this sound familiar? Well, I'm not going to take it further than that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.